Hello, and welcome back to yet another podcast. As ever, I'm Greg Benevent, and I'm once again very happy to be joined by Belal Hamideh. Bilal, how you doing, man?
Happy to be here with you to answer questions for the public. Let's get it started, man.
Absolutely. There's a theme to the questions today. The first one, a basic question, but a very important one. What is a construction accident lawyer?
So, a construction accident attorney is an attorney who helps people who have been injured at a construction site. So, a construction site, in general, it could occur on the road where there's construction work. It can occur where there's houses being built. It can occur where buildings are being built. There's a lot of different construction sites. So a lot of times, because the only protection people have is their hard hat, and a lot of times they don't, and they are dealing with multiple moving parts and people and heavy machinery and equipment and large objects and working from height, there are accidents that occur. And these accidents a lot of times occur with injury because unlike a car where the car serves as some type of protection to the person, in a construction accident, the body of the person takes the entire brunt of whatever struck them or them striking the floor. So those accidents can be very seriously injury and deadly in a lot of instances. So a construction attorney looks to help these injured people who have been injured at construction sites to get their medical bills paid, to get their pain and suffering compensation, to recover lost wages from work, and also to recover loss of earning ability. If the person is so seriously injured or incapacitated that now they have to perform another type of job that's less paying, that's another thing to fight for. So that's basically what a construction accident attorney does.
Okay, no, that's very well said. That's comprehensive. The second question that came in is one that I myself had actually wondered: do I have a case if the construction accident was my fault?
Right. So when there is a construction accident, there's two type of cases you can actually pursue. The first one is a workers' compensation case. That is when you make a claim against your employer for work-related injuries that occurred at work. The second type of case that you can have is a third-party personal injury case against another company or an employee of another company. So in the first case, the workers' compensation case, even if the construction accident was the fault of the worker, they are still entitled to receive their full workers' compensation benefits, including medical treatment and including a settlement for their permanent disability. That is because California has a no-fault system in workers' compensation. It doesn't matter whose fault it was.
Okay.
If the worker went up a ladder that he or she was not supposed to go up, and they went up anyway and they fell, they could still get their full workers' compensation money. Now, if you wanted to make a claim against another company, you would have to prove that their negligence caused your injury. So if it was totally your fault, then you could not make a claim. However, there's something called comparative fault. Let's just say it was 50% your fault and 50% another company's fault. Then you would be able to make a claim against the other company for personal injury, but your value of your case would be reduced by your comparative negligence percentage of 50%. So let's just say your case is worth $100,000, your injuries. If you're 50% comparatively at fault, then your case will be worth $50,000 against the other company. However, like I said, for workers' compensation, making a claim against your own employer, there is no comparative fault. It's a no-fault system. So you get your full workers' compensation benefit.
No, that's very well said. I mean, I was just struck by, as you were saying, that if a person is injured in a construction accident, whether or not it's their fault, they should absolutely consult with an attorney or meet with somebody just to see, if they do have a case. That makes a lot of sense. I think you touched on this next question a bit, but I'd love to hear the more fleshed out answer. Is what are the main causes of construction accidents?
Okay, so the number one cause of construction accidents is falling. This is because, as I've stated, a lot of the construction requires the worker to be performing their duties at tall heights. You know, they're hanging from skyscrapers, on the roofs of homes. There's a lot of falling that takes place, especially when there's not a lot of safety measures taken by the supervisors, you know, correct equipment,
Yeah.
and things like that. So falls actually account for over 1/3 of all construction accidents.
Wow.
The other most common construction accidents are electrocutions, failure to properly do lockout procedures for equipment, and then there's a malfunction and there's like an electrocution or an explosion that occurs. So falls, failure to lock out of systems properly, and electrocutions, and being struck by large, heavy objects. I mean, if you're talking about like longshoremen, people who are working at the port, they are, some of them get struck by cargo, and
Right.
there's no way they survive that, you know.
Yeah.
So getting hit by heavy objects is another main cause of construction accidents.
Okay, now that makes a lot of sense. That sort of leads into our final question of this session, which is, who can I sue if I get hurt in a construction accident?
All right, so we touched on this.
Mhm.
With every accident, there's two things you have to think about. Was my accident work related? If it was, then you want to file a claim against your employer. Your employer is going to have workers' compensation insurance. So the workers' compensation insurance will send you to a doctor. You can change your doctor. You will continue to treat with that doctor until you've reached maximum medical improvement. Then you will get a settlement for your permanent injuries. The other thing you can do is sue a third party company. So let's just say that you worked for a framing company.
Okay.
You're building a home and there's many subcontractors there. There's the framing company doing the structural work of the house. There's the window company putting up windows. There's a lot of different companies, right?
Okay.
So let's just say that the window company accidentally dropped a window on your head and you work for the framing company. You are not an employee of the window company.
Right.
So if the window company's employee was negligent in their handling of that window, and you as the framing company employee had a concussion due to being struck by a heavy, large window, you have two cases. You have a workers' comp claim because you were injured at work while you were doing your job duties under the framing company, and then you were injured due to the negligence of the window company. So you actually have two cases at once. That's called a crossover case, where you pursue workers' compensation and personal injury at the same time.
Okay. Wow. No, that really shows just, how strong a case a person could have when they might not be aware they have one. Well, that's all the questions that we have today, Belal. Is there anything that you wanted to add, or any final thought that you wanted to leave the viewers with?
We're happy to provide this service to the public to answer your questions. Today was about construction accidents, and we focused on that. They are very serious accidents that result in serious injuries. Remember, when you're in a construction accident, you can pursue workers' comp and or personal injury, and you want to make sure that you're pursuing every avenue. My firm handles both type of cases. I would also continue to ask the public to send in their questions on our social media or direct messaging so that we can answer them live for you at the next session. I'm Belal Hamideh, and I would like to thank you for watching this informational video about construction accidents.
All right. On behalf of Website Depot, my name is Greg Benevent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bilal. Take it easy and have a good night.